Micheal gets secrets from Heran's cops, makes the murderer surrender. The night Heran Alvarez was pulled from the freezing waters behind Windermere, Port Charles seemed to inhale sharply and hold its breath. The rescue boat's floodlights cut through the fog in trembling beams as paramedics shouted, police officers scrambled, and the hum of radios echoed across Spoon Island's rocky shoreline. Micheal Corinthos stood stiffly at the edge of the dock, jaw clenched, fists hidden in his coat pockets. He wasn't supposed to be there. Dante had told him twice to go home. But family instincts were something he couldn't shut off, especially when the death of a man Micheal barely knew suddenly felt like it had something to do with him. Sonny had enemies. Jason had enemies. He had enemies. That was the way of the Corinthos bloodline. Violence didn't just haunt their steps, it showed up uninvited. Heran's body was lifted onto the stretcher. His dark hair plastered against his forehead, skin gray from hours in icy water, a jagged wound at the base of his skull. Dante swallowed hard. This wasn't an accident. Micheal already knew that. But what he didn't know, what neither of them knew, was that Heran Alvarez had been trying to reach him that night. And his last possession would set Micheal on a collision course with the murderer, a confrontation so deeply personal it would rattle Port Charles to its foundations. At GH, the morgue lights buzzed faintly above the sterile steel table. Micheal shouldn't have been there. He wasn't police. He wasn't medical staff. But Jordan had allowed him inside for one reason alone. Heran had died clutching something with Michael's name on it. A sealed envelope, water-damaged but miraculously intact, was removed from the pocket of Heran's soaked jacket. Jordan placed it in Michael's hands. A cold shiver moved through him. Dante watched him carefully. "Do you know him? Like really know him?" Micheal shook his head. "He worked security for a corporation Sonny invested in 10 years ago. I barely spoke to him. And that was before everything went to hell." Jordan crossed her arms. "He tried to reach you. Phone records show 3 attempted calls in the last hour before he drowned." "Before he was killed," Micheal corrected. With trembling fingers, he opened the envelope. A memory card fell out. No note. No explanation. Just a small black chip containing whatever truth Heran had died to protect. Jordan nodded. "GH tech team can decrypt it. But it'll take time." Micheal didn't want time. He wanted answers. And Heran had chosen him as the final recipient of those secrets. Whatever lurked inside that memory card must have been damning. Dangerous. Explosive enough to destroy someone's life. Maybe many lives. Micheal clenched the card in his palm as if it were a heartbeat. Someone had killed Heran to stop this information from getting out. And that meant that someone was still out there. Watching. Waiting. Nervous. Because Micheal Corinthos now held the truth Heran had died for. 2 hours later, Micheal stood alone in Willow's classroom at the community center. He didn't want to drag her into it, but he needed a quiet place. A place no one would think to look. A place safe from the eyes of whoever had killed Heran. He inserted the memory card into his laptop. A single file appeared. Port Charles Dossier, 4MC. His breath caught. He opened the file. The grainy video footage loaded slowly, jittery and flickering as if recorded on a hidden camera. A warehouse. A meeting. 2 figures arguing. Michael's eyes widened. The first man was Heran. The second. Michael's stomach dropped. He knew that silhouette. That voice. That stance. It was a beloved, trusted figure in Port Charles. Someone no one would ever suspect. Someone whose career, reputation, and entire future would evaporate if anyone saw this video. Worse, Micheal watched as the second man shoved Heran backwards. Heran stumbled, hit his head on a steel beam, and dropped to the ground. The killer froze, horrified, panicked, then dragged Heran's unconscious body toward the river dock. Micheal felt bile rise in his throat. This wasn't just manslaughter. This was a cover-up. Murder. Cold-blooded and calculated. The video ended. Micheal leaned against the wall, hand on his mouth, gasping for air. Rage vibrated through his body. Horror. Betrayal. He whispered the killer's name. And the sound echoed through the empty classroom like a prophecy of destruction. Willow entered quietly moments later. "Micheal," she whispered. He turned the laptop toward her. "You need to see this." Her reaction was immediate, a gasp, a step back, her hand covering her heart. "Micheal, no. Not him. He wouldn't." "He did." Micheal clenched his jaw. "And Heran died trying to tell me." "What are you going to do?" Micheal closed the laptop. "Take this to Dante. Or confront him myself.
Willow grabbed his arm. No. Confrontation means danger. You know that.
If he killed once. He didn't mean to kill Heran, Micheal corrected bitterly. But the cover-up? That was deliberate.
Willow sank onto a chair.
Micheal, listen.
He's powerful. Respected. Connected.
If you go after him alone.
I'm not giving him a chance to spin this.
Heran deserves justice.
And what about us? She whispered. You have a family. Children.
We're just recovering from everything.
Micheal softened.
I know. But if I don't do this, who will?
Willow's voice trembled.
Then promise me you won't go alone.
He hesitated.
And that moment of hesitation, too long, too heavy, told Willow everything.
You already decided, she breathed.
You're going tonight.
Micheal touched her cheek. I have to. Before he destroys the evidence. Before he runs.
Before he hurts someone else.
Willow nodded weakly.
Then come home to me alive.
He kissed her softly. Always.
Late that night, the same warehouse from the video glowed faintly under moonlight. Michael's shoes echoed on the concrete as he stepped inside, laptop under his arm. The killer was already there. Waiting. You saw it, didn't you? He said quietly. Micheal didn't respond. The man stepped into the light, haunted eyes, trembling hands, guilt etched into every line of his face. Micheal, it was an accident. Heran planned to expose your corruption, Micheal spat.
And you silenced him.
I didn't mean to kill him. But you dumped his unconscious body into a freezing river.
Silence. Heavy. Damning.
Then the man whispered, if you turn me in, everything I've built, everything I've worked for.
Spare me, Micheal snapped.
You killed a man. You don't get sympathy. The killer's shoulders crumpled.
So this is it?
You'll ruin me.
I'm not ruining you. Micheal held up the laptop.
You ruined yourself. The killer lunged. Micheal stepped back, but the movement sent the laptop crashing to the floor. The hard drive cracked. No.
Micheal shouted.
That was the only copy. The killer froze. A broken, horrified whisper escaped his lips.
Micheal. I didn't want this. Please.
Micheal grabbed a metal bar from the floor, pointing it at him. Don't move. The killer sank to his knees, sobbing. I'll confess, he whispered. I'll surrender. Just, don't make me die like Heran.
Micheal lowered the bar. Not because he felt compassion, but because he realized something else. The killer wasn't a monster. He was a coward.
And cowards crumble under truth. 2 hours later, Dante stared in shock as the killer walked into the PCPD lobby with Micheal behind him. Micheal.
Dante whispered.
You did this.
Micheal nodded.
He confessed.
Jordan's mouth fell open. How?
I showed him what Heran recorded.
Dante blinked.
You pressured him until he gave up. No, Michael's eyes hardened. I told him the truth.
And he folded. The killer signed the confession.
The police led him away. And for the first time since receiving the envelope, Micheal breathed deeply, finally letting the weight slide off his chest. Micheal, Dante said quietly, you know this is going to blow up the entire city.
I know. You realize what you did?
You got the murderer to walk in here willingly. I didn't force him. Micheal shrugged. He surrendered to the truth.
Jordan studied him.
Heran must have trusted you for a reason. Micheal lowered his gaze. He died for that reason.
The fallout hit Port Charles like a detonation.
The killer's identity shook every social circle, every political faction, every family.
No one had seen it coming. And everyone had an opinion. Some praised Micheal. Some blamed him. Some feared that this was just the beginning. Willow wrapped her arms around him the moment he arrived home.
It's over.
For now.
But the city. Micheal rested his forehead against hers.
Let it burn if it has to.
At least it burns with honesty.
Willow nodded.
You did the right thing.
Micheal wasn't sure, but he hoped Heran thought so.
1 week later, Micheal received a second envelope, this time from the legal department of Heran's estate. Why would his family send you something?
Willow asked. Micheal opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter, Heran's handwriting. His final message. Micheal sat down, heart hammering.
Asterisk, if you're reading this, I didn't survive.
I trust you, Micheal.
I know your family's history, your father's enemies, your own battles. You know the difference between justice and revenge. What I discovered in Port Charles will destroy a good man if you expose it wrong.
But you always choose the right thing. Thank you.
Hernan Alvarez ***.
Micheal swallowed a lump in his throat.
Hernan believed in you, Willow whispered. I hope I lived up to it.
He folded the letter, not as a burden, but as a promise. A promise to keep choosing truth over chaos, justice over silence, courage over fear.
In the weeks that followed, Port Charles watched Micheal differently.
Some saw him as a hero. Some saw him as a threat.
He had become something more dangerous than any mobster. A man who couldn't be corrupted. A man who, when given damning truth, didn't bury it. He weaponized it for justice. And the people of Port Charles weren't sure whether to praise him or fear him. But for now, the city breathed easier. Because the killer surrendered. Because Micheal Corinthos carried Hernan's truth into the light. And because one man's death had ignited a reckoning the city desperately needed. Even if it didn't want it. The sentencing day arrived faster than anyone expected. Micheal sat quietly in the courtroom, Willow holding his hand. Reporters crowded the back rows. Half the town seemed packed into the shadows, watching history unfold. The killer looked gaunt, hollow, defeated. When the judge read the verdict, a strangled sob echoed. Heavily, broken, final.
Justice. Swift. Brutal.
Unforgiving.
Micheal closed his eyes. He should have felt satisfied. But all he felt was tired.
Willow squeezed his hand. You did everything you could. Micheal whispered softly, I hope Hernan's soul rests now. Outside the courthouse, journalists swarmed. Microphones shoved in his face. Cameras blinding him. Micheal, how did you convince him to surrender? Did you threaten him? Was the confession coerced? Are you the new moral leader of Port Charles?
Micheal answered none of them. He just walked.
Let them guess.
Let them write. Let them spin. He had done his part.
The rest wasn't his to carry. 3 months later, on a late evening in the Corinthos mansion's study, Micheal unlocked a drawer. Inside the drawer sat the broken laptop and the shattered memory card. He took out a tiny bag. Inside it, a small, untouched chip Hernan had hidden under the original card. A backup. Michael's eyes widened. He swallowed. This new file was labeled. His breath hitched. What else did you know, Hernan? He whispered. Micheal clicked the file. And as the screen flickered to life, revealing names, alliances, scandals, and a conspiracy that dwarfed everything,
Micheal realized something chilling. Hernan's killer was only the beginning.
And Port Charles was standing on the edge of a war it didn't even see coming. Micheal exhaled slowly. Okay, he whispered. Round 2.